Let's take a look at the process that we can hold the hairstyle better. In the hair system, go all the way down, not all the way down, but in the middle you have this start curve attract. Basically using the original shape of the curve to maintain or trying to push the simulation apply a force to push the simulated curve to go back to the original shape. The value here can be something like 1 or even higher. So let's change that to 1 and take a look. I'm doing play blast now. You can see the hair shape is actually holding better now. You can see that they're not really sliding in that much now. They do go down a little bit, but they do behave actually much better. Okay. Let me stop this cache so we can take a look. Right, you can see they are actually doing a better job. But what we really want is maybe we hold the top, right? But we have the bottom ones go more free. And that's what this graph is for. The graph means, let me click on this little arrow here. This graph means that it's like a multiplier across the length of the hair. The root will be multiplying by this value, and the tip will be multiplied by this value. The start curve attract value will be multiplied by this curve. Okay, so that means that if we're simulating the base part, the root part of the hair, it's going to be having a value of 1 for the start curve attract. If you're simulating the tip, that means you're maybe just simulating like 21% of this, so it's like 0.21 as the actual value used for the start curve attract for the end of the hair. So we have a way of regraphing the strings. What I'm going to do here is drag this part really high so that I'm holding most of the base part. For the other parts, I'm going to actually drag them lower, maybe even 0, and make that happen also quite early in the stage, so that we're getting all the hairs maybe from here to simulate free. Alright, let's close that and let's redo the simulation. As you can see now, the hair falls down more. At the bottom they're moving more freely. The top are holding better still. Okay, I wanted to be holding even better than this, so I'm going to stop the simulation. Let's take a look. Right. Let's stop the simulation, go back to frame 1. Of course you have to go back twice for some reason. Grab the hair system again, and let's change this curve attract. Instead of 1, I'm going to change that to 5, so it's like 5 times stronger. Now let's go ahead and play the animation again. You can see the top are holding much better. The bottom are still kind of like really dynamic, but I can control exactly how much dynamic I want the bottom to have, or I want the base to have. So let me go back to frame 1, grab the hair system. I'm gonna change the graph to make those guys to go down even more. Maybe a little bit more here too, so that most of the hairs are actually simulating, but I'm holding the base. Okay. Play blast one more time. As you can see now, the bottom part are really flexible. The top, however, is holding quite nicely. Now you will drop down a little bit. There's no way you can avoid it, I guess, because of the collision between them and the collision to the head and the gravity force dragging them down. It's not that easy to hold them still. But it's also okay. I don't want them to be holding exactly like that. I want something that is also moving here on the base too, not just solid. Okay. Alright, so simulation is finished. As you can see, the hair movement is actually getting a little bit more natural now, as you can see. They're not moving super crazy. A few things I want to tweak after this. First of all, they're kind of like popping a lot down the way. That's because the force being applied to make them go back. The start curve attract doesn't have any damping, so they're gonna be pushed a lot like a spring. I'm gonna change the attraction damp to 1, meaning that when they're getting closer, the force will also be weaker, so that it's a little bit more stable. Another thing from that simulation is that I think I still need lesser simulation control, sorry, the attract here at the bottom. I'm going to lower that down too. One more thing here, going down to the forces, I'm going to change the gravity, the mass of the hair to be something much weaker because their hair is really weak. So 0.05 will be the one I'm going to go for. Okay, and also I'm going to give everything a little bit damping, maybe like 0.5 or so. Those numbers can be tweaked based on the appearance of the hair, right? So I'm gonna right click and do another plate blast. Alright, so the plate blast is over. Let's take a look at it one more time. You can see the hair is not bumping too much anymore, maybe just the beginning, but they're moving quite nicely in the middle. And as you can see, they also settles down much faster because of the damping we applied to them. So you want some kind of like hair movement, but you don't want them to be too crazy. So this may be the one I'm going to go for. But based on the requirement you want to go for, you may go ahead and change some of the forces, some of the attributes, even stretching. Right. But that's what I'm going to go for now. Okay, so I'm going to go back to frame 1. Okay, so let's talk about another problem we're having, which is clipping. Right? The hair is actually going into the nose sometimes. That's not cool. I'm gonna figure out how we can fix that problem. Now, first of all, we need to know what that problem is. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the visibility of the hair and turn back the guides so we can see the guides. And let me also turn off the hair bone just to enhance the performance. Again, we're only simulating these guys. That's all we're doing. If you go play the animation, you can see, well, those guys are actually doing fine. I don't see them clipping with the nose or anything. They're sliding, maybe some collision problem there, but still they're not doing anything bad. But let's actually talk about some of the things we can enhance here at this very stage. So the collision done to the hair is actually based on the collision thickness of the hair system. So we're going to go ahead and click on hair system, go to the collision part and tell it to collide with a bigger thickness. That's going to be the server display collision thickness. Turn that on. Back to frame 1 again. And the collision width offset, let's change that to something just a little bit higher. That's 1 looks like. It's a little crazy. So I'm going to change that to just a little bit more so they're not clipping, but you have to redo the simulation to see that. Basically, try to have a bigger size so they don't really clip with the nose. Maybe just a little bit higher than that. 0.2 maybe. Alright. Now, if you look at it, the collision, you can see the collision have the collide and have a self-collide. We don't actually have self-collide. That's going to save us some performance time, but if you wanted to, you can turn that on. It's going to cause also some unstable result though, like because they're trying to collide with each other. You can see they're also popping a little bit over there. But again, we're locking that part anyways, so I guess it's fun. But again, that's the underneath structure, what is really driving our hair system. Okay, so in this particular case, because my hair is all like long hair, not really having a lot of clipping or anything, I'm going to turn off self-collide to save some performance and also make it actually a little bit more stable. I'm going to go ahead and turn off that thickness also, turn off the guide visibility also, which is here, and turn my hair back. Okay. Now let me do one more simulation. actually just maybe play it for a few frames to take a look. Let's see if we still got those clipping. Now you can see we're still getting some clipping. Now why is that? If you go ahead and turn on the in guide, you can see the guides are actually doing fine. It just, the hair is much of a bigger chunk than those yellow simulated strands, right? So that's the reason why we're seeing clipping, and it's really hard to get rid of those if you just simulate, you know, that little lines. Okay, but I really like this simulation speed, so I'm not gonna sacrifice this by just adding a lot of lines to simulate. I just like to simulate a simpler topology, not topology, a simpler line curves. You know, a bunch of curves, not very much here, to, you know, because I really like the performance. So I'm gonna fake it by doing a fake collider for the hair. To do so, I can start with a sphere. Right? I'm gonna drag that sphere up. I'm gonna make it bigger. Move it to the front of the face. Maybe squeeze it in. Maybe not squeezing out that much, but something like this. So I'm basically creating a collider to make the hair just slide around this arc instead of what's happening inside. So that I'm protecting them from clipping in too much, so that I will not have clipping. Okay. Let me grab this guy. First of all, Alt-Shift D to delete history, and also go modify freeze transformation. And then I'm gonna go show joints, grab the joints, do rigging, skin, band skin, make sure that you use default settings. And then I'm gonna grab the body and then the sphere, do a skin, copy skin weight. So we're copying the weighting there too. Now if you go ahead and open the mouse or something, it does change also a little bit. Right. Anyway. So now this guy will be served as a new collider for the hair. To make it a collider, you can go to the FX, go to the in class, and then create passive collider. That's how you convert something to collide with any in dynamics, including in hair. I'm gonna Control H to hide this sphere. Alright. Also don't need to see the joint anymore, so turn off that. Now let's do one more simulation. I'm gonna turn back my bump and then right click and play blast. Alright, so our play blast is over. As you can see this time, they do falls down, but they don't really clip anymore because we basically have a sphere there to push them away. I know this is fake, but you know, everything here is cheating actually in CG. If you can cheat, right? Because you don't really want it to be super serious on anything or everything actually, because there are just so many things that you have to take care of. You just have to pursue this good enough effect. I see some clipping or juggling here. That's probably because of my collision thickness. So because I have this sphere to protect my hair, I'm gonna actually disable the collision thickness to, you know, avoid them being jittering around. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Offset will be 0 now. Okay. And I kind of want them to be holding better. So I'm gonna go ahead and say the start curve traction, I'm gonna change that to something like 8, so it's a little bit more higher. I'm gonna do one more play blast, and in the next tutorial we're gonna go ahead and talk about some of the other stuff that we can do with this hair simulation. Okay, see you next time.